George Beurling, a relentless young Canadian with a burning desire for combat. He found himself on a collision course with destiny during World War II. At an early age, he wanted to fly and fight, but he couldn't wait and he tried to enlist in the Royal Canadian Air Force, but they rejected him for being too young and not finishing school yet. His determination though led him across the Atlantic, dodging U-boat infested waters to join the RAF in England. But he was initially rejected there as well because when he got there he forgot to bring his birth certificate with him. So he had to go all the way back to Canada, across the Atlantic, dodging those German infested U-boat waters and hoping that one of those U-boats didn't prematurely end his dreams. But he got there with his birth certificate and the RAF eventually took him in, and his talent and skill for flying was evident immediately. His instructor, the 21-year-old Battle of Britain veteran Tony Pickering, noted how much of a natural he was in the skies. He could operate that Spitfire better than any other trainee pilot that he'd ever known. He was a natural in the air, but he was unkept and he had bad discipline. For one of the exercises, trainee pilots would hone their skills shooting a cloth tube dragged behind a plane. Other students barely managed to get 1 or 2 bullseye shots out of 100, but Beurling would land and tell the officers, "You'll find 65 hits back there." It was an incredible claim, but when they checked, he was right. He graduated at the top of his class, but despite his raw talent for flying, his maverick personality and disregard for orders meant that he constantly clashed with authority and didn't make any friends there. His first assignment was to 41 Squadron in Sussex, escorting bombers over Nazi-occupied France. He gets his first kill within weeks, but by repeatedly breaking formation without permission, hunting enemy bombers on his own. He was a bit of a loose cannon and a lone wolf, and this caused issues with his squadron and with authority. Plus, he's seen as an outsider being from Canada. No matter how good he is being the new guy and a Canadian, he's put on tail end Charlie, which is the most vulnerable position of the formation and basically known as cannon fodder. On May 3rd, 1942, whilst escorting bombers over Nazi-occupied France, he sees enemy aircraft that his commanding pilots simply cannot see. He reported it to the wing commander, but convinced there was nothing there, he wasn't given permission to break off and engage them.
There's nothing there, damn you. Get off the radio.
Beurling, being Beurling, did anyway. You see, he had perfected the process of scanning, which helped him to see aircraft before his colleagues could, which is now standard practice for pilots. He makes his kill out of sight of the squadron, and they assume that he is now missing in action, another one lost to the enemy. Then he arrives back, lands, and tells them about his success. Unfortunately though, his gun camera didn't pick up the kill. You see, his skill was so great that he didn't pull in behind the enemy, but came in at an angle to precisely predict where in front of the aircraft to take fire and make that hit. It's an extremely difficult thing to do, known as deflection shooting, and for this reason, the gun cameras only recorded the empty air. With no evidence to back up his claims of this extraordinary kill, it really put him in trouble and he was grounded. But even whilst grounded, he took the opportunity to practice deflection shooting using his imagination on flying birds. He's one of the few pilots that really masters it. Beurling isn't having a good time. He makes enemies and he wants out. He wants to transfer to anywhere else. His opportunity came in June 1942 when a married officer is absolutely horrified to learn that he's been posted in Malta, a tiny island under relentless siege by Axis bombers, the key to North Africa and the most bombed place on Earth. More bombs fell in Malta in 2 months than in London over the entire Blitz. Beurling sees this as his opportunity to transfer and get into the thick of the fight. He volunteers to take the married pilot's place. Now you tell me, was he fearless, naive, confident, stupid, or brave? Let me know in the comments. Of 31 Spitfires that took off from the carrier to get to Malta, only 27 arrived, breaking through the siege and the Messerschmitt 109s. Malta desperately needed skilled pilots. It was a desperate situation, a baptism by fire, and Beurling yearned for a fight. Malta was seriously outnumbered with less than 100 Spitfires, and they were outnumbered 4-1. But these odds were not a challenge for Beurling. He gets his first kill over Malta undamaged. In one Axis offensive launched from Italy, he shot down 3 confirmed kills and 1 probable kill. Such was his skill and eyesight. For 1 kill, he informed his intelligence officer that he had hit the 109 on a deflection shot and it hit just at the starboard wing in the engine just beyond the cockpit. Nobody could confirm that, so it went down as a probable kill. Later on that day though, the wreckage is found and the hit is exactly where he said it was. He gained his confirmed kill, impressing everybody not just with his skill but also with his vision. Then he scrambled later that day and he shot down a 109 from 800 yards. The effective range of a Spitfire is 450 yards. A plane of 800 yards away is just a pinprick in the distance. Luckily though, this one was caught on camera and it goes down in legend as the best aerial shot of World War II. Now, nobody doubts his skill. He starts to get a nickname, Screwball, for his unconventional attitude. He defied RAF protocol by adjusting the machine guns to converge the bullets to make the kill sweet spot at a closer range than standard, 250 yards rather than the standard 350 yards. This is so that he can get closer to the enemy and be more accurate, wasting less ammo. The Spitfire would carry just 15 seconds of ammo. That's 5 3-second bursts. And for every fourth round is a tracer. Beurling, though, didn't need the tracers. He replaced the tracers with bullets, and that gave him more ammo to attack the enemy with, but also when he opened fire, the enemy obviously didn't see the tracers and they didn't know that they were being attacked, giving him a further advantage. He was absolutely deadly in the air. A gifted pilot with incredible marksmanship with seemingly superhuman eyesight. He shot 4 down in one day, and by the end of the month he had 17 kills. He's given an officer's commission and hits headlines back home, but he didn't want the commission. Now he had friends in Malta, his fellow fighter pilots, and he refused to wear an officer's uniform. He wanted to remain one of the boys. By the end of June and the successful defense of Malta, Beurling's success was undeniable. He racked up 24 confirmed kills, more than any other pilot in Malta. I personally think Beurling is one of the best fighter pilots of all time. Is there anybody better? Can you think of anybody? Let me know in the comments. And if you want me to do a deep dive on anybody's story, you can leave a super thanks and I'll put the suggestion to the top of the list. Your support for my channel is appreciated and it encourages me to keep going because these videos take a lot of time and a bit of money to make. Beurling's final mission over Malta was a heart-stopping testament to his courage. Whilst attacking a bomber from behind, he sees his mate in trouble, chased by a 109. He breaks off, but the bomber's tail gunner opens fire, hitting him in the hand. Now with 2 109s in his tail, they hit him again. He does manage to down a 109, saving his friend and fellow pilot. But another 109 comes in and he has no choice. He is badly injured, he's been hit and he has to bail out. He's finally out of luck. Hit 3 times and dangling on a parachute, a 109 comes around and takes aim. Defenseless Beurling waits in his parachute dangling to be killed. But out of nowhere, a Spitfire swoops in and saves him. Malta was successfully defended and Hitler decides to set his aim on Egypt instead. Many believe the defense of Malta was a turning point in the war. Hailed as the Falcon of Malta and a national hero at the young age of just 20, Beurling is found in the spotlight and he finds it unbearable. Beurling is a devout Christian who haunted the skies of his enemies and craved action, yet recoiled from the hero worship that followed his victories. His graphic descriptions of his wartime experiences are a raw testament to the horrors he'd witnessed, which alienated some and made for awkward speeches, a constant reminder of how the emotional toll of war had on those that served. Beurling craved the familiar rush of combat and eventually joined the Israel Air Force to get back into the action. Tragically though, his life was cut short in a freak plane crash when his aircraft exploded coming back from France in 1948. His life was taken at just the age of 27. Beurling's legacy is as complex as the man himself. A brilliant pilot, no doubt, with an unorthodox style. He embodied the spirit of a lone wolf hero. His story is a testament to the bravery and sacrifice of lesser known figures who played pivotal roles in World War II. It's a story of defiance, of restless spirit finding purpose in the crucible of war, and a reluctant hero forever remembered in the history books. So, do you think George Beurling was the best fighter pilot of all time? Let me know if you can think of anyone better in the comments. Thanks for watching to the end. Do like and subscribe if you want to see more stories of aviation.